I think we're live. That low E a little sharp. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, there we go. Sounds a little off though. Let me check this real quick. Let me just check it real quickie. Where's my tuner? Oh, Christ. Getting punchy from punching all these buttons. That's not bad. Good. It's actually a touch sharp. And so was that. That's pretty good. And that's a hair sharp. That should do it. That's pretty good. Yeah, that sounds good. Probably should have done that before I came on here, but it's busy. No time. No time for tuning. Yeah, that's good. Hold on, I have to close out the ad telling me to run an ad. Boy, every week, every friggin' week, they're relentless. You wonder why everybody else is running mid-rolls, because YouTube is freaking relentless. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, all right? With the coil cut on. Sounds pretty good. It's within acceptable parameters. Yeah, that's good. That's my best tuning so far. Yeah, I like the color on this one too. Right there. Gotta turn it so you don't see the reflection of the friggin' light. Looks darker on cam though. But than in person. So who do we got here? Deanna, Matt, Trolls, Calvin, Saul, Matt, Scott, Trolls, Shammy Whammy, Craig, Shammy Whammy, Saul and Kevin. Double R guitar. Speaker, what's up, dude? That. We'll see what happens with this thing. You know, fresh strings are always going out of tune on you. Which, you know, a lot of times I'll say, you know, the strings need to be stretched out. They're like, no, they just got to get stretched on the post. It's a locking nut. There's no stretching on the post. It's literally the strings. Like, this is what we call a dead zone right now. You're dead to me. Little taparoo. Oh, you got Tactical, Terry. In Herba Fireside Studios. If you put catgut strings on it, you'll get no sound. Because they may be on the low strings, but just barely. Because there's no metal. Right? You're using metal to break the magnetic field. Which is why every nylon string has a piezo pickup. Because it works by vibrating piezo crystals. You know. What's up, Jay Schaff? Yeah, it is. It's routed a little weird. It should be on the other side of that screw, I think. Whoever put it through didn't put it through right. But again, once this locks, this becomes meaningless. So. No, you're not a troll. I'm talking to Troll. Or trolls. The plural. Exactly. The tune is there to break the string when you forget the locking nut. Oh, we've all been there. Wait, hold on, you didn't snap. Oh, right. I didn't unlock the nut. Oh, my God. Doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, you go, oh, good. You got me. Once again, you got me. What's up, Johnny Kramer? I tell you, man, this thing. That sounds in tune. Man, are these loose? No. You know what? I'm just gonna double check that these are really tightened down. I feel like I might be getting a little slippage. No, those are tight. No, those are totally tight. How about on the back end? That's the wrong size. Is this the right size? No. All right, I don't have a multi-tool here, so it's going to be just a whole bunch of guessing. All right, do I have any more? No, one more to try. No, that's too small. The other one was too small, so is that one. Any other ones? Any? Oh, we have a couple. I'm playing Allen wrench roulette. Anything? Anything? Bueller? No. No. Because sometimes the nut can get a little loose. And you'll get a little... Hold on, let me look at this tuning again. Yeah, you're pissing me off. That is a little sharp. Also a little bit sharp. That's fine. That is a little flat. So is that. And so is that. How are we doing? It's a tiny bit sharp. All right. The CompuTune says we are in tune, and I trust it. What's funny is I'm watching myself on the video before I bring up my regular one, and I'm watching me try to tighten down these. What is that, like a 25-second friggin' delay? Easily 30-second delay. No, you're right. It should not go out if it's locked. The only time it goes out is if, the trem isn't getting back to its proper position, which could be true. Right? You use the trem and it goes out. Or the strings are still stretching, right? I'm going, and it goes a little flat because the string stretches. That sounds right. That sounded good too. All right. Okay. We'll see. No, I'm smiling. It's a smile. That all sounds in tune. Then again, I'm on the neck pickup. You know how that goes. I'm in tune on the neck, but not on the bridge. That's in tune. That's in tune. Well, I have a real pet peeve about out of tune guitars, man. Like crazy. And you'd see some YouTubers, the early Chapman videos. I think they just told themselves, well, just plow right through, even if you're out of tune, because most viewers won't notice the difference. It was like freaking nails on a chalkboard. Eventually, they stopped that, and when it went out of tune, they would clearly cut the video, tune up a little bit, and then continue on. It's like, thank you. But those real early Chapman videos, oh my God, there's so many that are just completely out of friggin' tune. It's like, dudes, what are you doing? What's up, Tony? Oh my God, that was in tune. I was like, oh, okay, play a mid-neck friggin' chord here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. I think we might be. I haven't played guitar pretty much all week, except for earlier today when I broke out the enormous beast that is the guitar from Monday's Guitar of the Week. Might be the biggest case ever. It would, God. People are like, why doesn't every guitar have a hard shell case? Because it's like 27 pounds in the case. Got to ship that shit. And that's expensive. So, yeah. In fact, I did a little research on that. Pretty much the threshold to get a hard shell case, pretty much for any guitar, right about now, it's about $1,500. But most are over $2,000. Got to be over $2,000 if you want a hard shell case. Then they can eat the shipping cost, because everything's free shipping now. So, that extra weight's got to go somewhere. So if you're between, if you're under $1,500, you might not get anything. Between $1,000 and $1,500, you might get a bag. Depends on the brand. When you get between $1,500 and $2,000, bags are plenty, and the occasional case. And then once you get over $2,000, most guitars come with a case, but not all. PRS is doing bags on a lot of their guitars, even at like $2,500. So again, it just depends on the maker. Yeah, that guitar today was shockingly large. It's one of those things where I don't think I've ever really played one before. It's like the first time I played an SG. I was like, oh my God, this body is enormous. I had no idea, because you think it's going to be kind of small, and then you get it. You're like, holy shit, this thing is freaking huge. I did not expect that. I completely, it was a good 20% larger than I thought it was going to be. You know how that goes. Daylight savings caught you again. You don't spring ahead until April. That's where we used to be, but they did some data checking, and they found out that they'd save a little bit of money if they did it earlier. And so they did it, they moved it to early March. First weekend in March and the first weekend in November, I want to say. We used to fall back in the middle of October and spring forward in the middle of April. And they changed it to the start of November, a couple of weeks later, and a couple of weeks earlier. Actually, a lot earlier. We move, because it's the first first Sunday in March, I think. Is it second Sunday? First. Yeah. It's not a Randy Rhoads Via or an Explorer. That's why it was so shocking, like, how large the guitar was. I was like, what? No way. No way. Someone pranking me? There's no way these guitars are that big. But it was. I was like, okay. 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 I mean, who am I to argue? And it's very heavy. It weighs a ton. And it comes in an enormous hard shell case. I was like, okay. Oh, okay. Sure. I did, I was so curious, I did weigh it. It is 27 pounds in the case. That's heavy. No, I already did an Iceman recently. Not an Iceman. What did I do? I did the Fireman. So it's not one of those. That's a good guess though, because that Fireman was friggin' enormous too, right? Yeah, they're big. There's a big uns. Michelangelo Badio's double guitar, close. The quadruple guitar. Don't sell me short, bro. BRS double neck? Sure. Don't get cheap on me, bro. I like this neck pickup. You know, the whole thing, the guitar does sound really good. And it's staying in better tune. So, I saw on Facebook earlier when I got up that the guy from who would, I think of the other guy when I think of Motorhead, but this guy was in it a lot longer than, who was the first guy? Was it Fast Eddie Clark? Who's the first guy in Motorhead? But Phil Campbell, he was with them from 84 through 2015. He passed away at a very young 64. Now that is just a few years away from me. Feels kind of young. Feels really young. Ibanez Hydra. I got the double Hydra. I got the quadruple, the Quadra. My LTD KHV weighs 28 pounds in the case. Yeah, it's one of those kind of like, you pick the case up and you're like, oh my, what does this weigh? This is insane. It's a giant wooden case. One of them big old rectangular ones, Plus, they probably add lead weights, just to make you feel like a big man. So, yeah, I was bummed to see that. But he wasn't in the band when that song was written, right? That's 1980? 79? 80? Something like that. Exactly, the Revolter Quadra. I got the Quintra. Don't sell me short, bro. 5 necks. Or go home. When people your age start young, yeah, you're going to start popping off. It's a bit sobering. It is. The whole mortality thing starts to kick in. Yeah, Fast Eddie Clark. He was really the first guitar player for them. But I mean, how many years was he in the band? I feel like, when did Motorhead come out? Late 70s, 78, 77, 78. And their big album was 80. And then I saw Fast Eddie Clark with Fastway. I don't think I've ever done an electric resonator. Yeah, Fastway. I saw them open for Iron Maiden at the Cape Cod Coliseum. Yeah, well, everyone's days are numbered. It happens. So the other, so Phil Campbell passed away at age 64. It was all over Facebook when I got up. I was like, oh. Like a bunch of my friends had posted it. And then the other big one, which I was watching a little bit earlier today, it was on. You could watch it. Was the Christie's auction for the Jim Irsay collection. Including 3 record-setting guitar sales. Because the prior record was the Martin acoustic played by, what's his name there, at on the MTV Unplugged. You know, the MTV and the Unplugged. Yeah, Kurt Cobain's Martin 59 Martin D18E acoustic electric. That was the prior record at $6.01 million. But the Kurt Cobain 69 Lake Placid Blue Fender Mustang sold for $6.9 million. The Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead custom Doug Irwin Tiger guitar sold for $11.56 million. And let me see. Of course, the big one was the Pink Floyd guitar for the David Gilmour Black Strat, which sold for $14.55. I want to say when David Gilmour sold that, his first auction, I want to say it sold for $1 million? Did he pay more than $1 million? Did he pay $2 million? I forget the original purchase price for it. But geez, David Gilmour has to be saying $14 million. Fuck me, Jesus. Other notable items that were sold were Jack Kerouac's original typescript of On the Road. That sold for $12.135 million. That was a record for a typed manuscript. And the what else did he have? The saddle used by Ron Turcotte as he rode Secretariat to the 1973 Triple Crown. That saddle sold for $1.524 million. The most ever paid for a horse racing item, period. That's pretty good. He had, he sold the Edmonton Oilers jersey, Wayne Gretzky, that he scored his 500th NHL goal. That sold for $952,000. Muhammad Ali's fight robe from Ali versus Liston 2, which was his first public appearance after changing his name from Cassius Clay. That sold for $444,500. He had Jackie Robinson's bat from 1953 season. That was $406,000. And he had a Mead spiral notebook containing 28 pages of Sly Stallone's original Rocky script, and that sold for $508,000. That guy had quite the collection. The total value of the collection sold was $93,656,609. Is that my gooba girl? My daughter's returning from Ireland. She's been in Ireland for 2 weeks. It's like a school thing. So I think that's her coming home right now. So Christie's is psyched. What is it, a 20% markup? So Christie's pulled in roughly is it 20%? It's not more than that. We can do a little quick math here. That's what, 18 million? A little more, actually. Hold on. Calculator. Oh, you got 93,656, 609 times 0.2. Yeah, 18.7 million. Oh, not a bad day's pay. And they had it at a bunch of different auctioneers, and they had one in London going, and they had one in New York going. What's the tax on that? I guess it depends on where you are, because all tax is local, right? The buyer does not. The seller doesn't pay anything. I think it's all the buyer. All the premiums, there's a buyer's premium that they have to pay the auction house. You know, you got to pay the VIG. Yeah. The only auction that they're saying will beat it will be the auction of all my crap. I want 8 million and then like 12 million and the mini guitar, 15 million, and then that $150 Harley Benton, 20 million. Don't get cheap on me, bro. Yeah, I know. She was really loving it there. And she sent us a pic of the place because the school arranges everything with this other school that's over there. And so she was there on it's like a 2-week school thingy. And she showed us around the cottage they were staying in. And man, was it nice. It was really nice. I was like, that's pretty good. Pretty good. How much for the tone clamp? They're calling it priceless. Yeah, if you can spend 16 million, you know, if you're dropping 1.5 million on a saddle, you can probably handle the tax. I saw I was watching it earlier today. I saw a 58 Les Paul go for, I think, 280,000. I saw a 60 Les Paul go for, I think, around the same. It was like $280,000. Not played by anyone famous, just its inherent value. But he had quite the collection. Bidding on the tone clamp. Everybody wants the tone clamp. That's Now, could you just go to Harbor Freight and buy one for about $4? Sure. But it's not a tone clamp. See, I didn't see Slash's 59 Les Paul. I tuned in and it was going on YouTube. It was live. And so what I wound up doing is just rewinding it, because you could go back. I think it's about an hour or 2 hours. So I went back quite a bit and was like just scrolling through, and when I would see something, I was because they were doing a bunch of acoustics that I couldn't really care less about. I really wanted to see what they had for electrics. I saw at least one or two Strats go for like 35, 40,000. No, they raked in. What was the total? Yeah, 93.6 mil. Not a bad day's pay. No, this neck isn't wide at all. It might be just because the headstock is a little narrow. People say that about the EVH too. But I think it's an R3. I think it's 41.8, at least the width. It's the same as a Strat. Same as, I think, a Les Paul. All right. 42.8, 42.9, roughly in that area. 42.85. I did do the Galaxy upgrade. Right there, bro. That's the latest one, the S26. I got it on Tuesday. I got it a day before release because they shipped it. I ordered it within 12 minutes of it becoming live. It went live at like 1 p.m. I had my order in by 1:12 p.m. So I was like one of the first orders to go out. I bought it straight through Google Fi, and it was half off. So instead of $12.99, it was $6.50. And to get that discount, which they do right off the top, right up front, no trade-in. You don't need to trade anything in. And I just have to stay on the service for 120 days, but, my average monthly bill is like $26, $27. There's no way I'm moving off the service. I friggin' love the service. It's been outstanding for me. And they also had the free double the storage upgrade. So instead of a 256, it was 512. So I got I think it's $14.99 if you want the 512. So like really less than half price. I was pretty happy about that. And then I had my old one from last year. And I learned from last year, I put it was at that point 2 years old. I got the new S25, but the S24, the screen looked like shit. And I returned it. So I used my S23 for another year. And they fixed the screen issue, but I swear it was something inherent in the panel. It looked like just like frosted. It was like weird. I said, "You're not fixing this with software," because I sent it right back. But the last year when I sold it on eBay, because it was an S23, and it was 2 years old, I put it up for $650 and no takers. I dropped it to $5.99 and it sold in like a day. And I didn't get a $10.99 because it was free shipping. I threw in free shipping. So this year I said, note to self, don't sell it for more than, if you're buying the new one for $650, why do you need to sell the old one? That's what I paid for it last year, $650. Why do I need to sell the old one for, I'll sell it for $5.99 again, so I don't get a $10.99 at the end of the year. Just to even try and get $650 back, I'd get a $10.99 and have to put it on my taxes. But less than that, it's not reported. So I put it in, when I was listing it on eBay, they said, you should sell this for $780. Like, our records show that this, phone with this amount of storage, with this color, and in this condition, you should sell it for $780. I put it in for $599. It sold in, and I'm not even shitting you, 90 seconds. That was a bot. That was an absolute friggin' buy-in bot that bought that up. Literally 90 seconds. I got it sold faster than I got your listing is now live email. That's how fast it friggin' sold. And I had it in transit within about an hour. I packed it all up. The only thing that sucked is because they knew it was a phone. They limited my service to United States Postal Service because it's got to go ground because it has a lithium-ion battery in it. So they're like, yeah, we can't put that through like FedEx or UPS. I was like, really? Because I really wanted to use UPS. But they were like, nope. It's got to be United States Postal Service. Okay. You know, Jeff Beck's Les Paul sold for $845. That's pretty good. Nice. That's a good chunk of change. He had some iconic guitars. Your company buys your phone and replaces it. Yeah. Sell my next one on the show. Yeah. eBay doesn't give a correct for most things. You probably lost money. No, I paid $650 for it last year, so I didn't mind selling it for $599. $50 for a year. Oh yeah, that was definitely a phone flipping bot. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt, that's a dude who's like, he has some parameters set into some bot that says if it's this phone for this amount of money, you know, just buy it. And he did. Literally 90 seconds. Yeah, no, I had to use a hazmat. So I didn't have they mark it on the label. This contains hazmat product, you know. And then when I brought it to the post office, they had to put a big sticker on the side of it that said contains hazardous materials, so it doesn't get on a plane. Are used guitars selling good? Well, they were for me this week. I had a bunch of guitars I was looking at, and I know how to pick them because, like, literally, as I hemmed and hawed, I went back to go buy it, and they were sold. I had three guitars I was looking at. The first one was an MIJ, right? EVH Van Halen signature model. So those come in two variations, MIJ and MIA, right? Made in the USA or made in Japan. If you call up the two spec sheets side by side, they are literally identical in every way. Identical. So you can save a lot of money by getting the MIJ, and quite frankly, I think MIJ Craftsman are a little better than the MIA Craftsman. So I'd actually prefer the MIJ. Literally down to the accessories, everything is identical between the two models. But the MIA one goes for $4,500, and the MIJ one goes for about $3,000. So I was like, you know, I saw one used for like $19.50, but they said, you know, it's got a little chip in the headstock, and it's got a scratch and a chip on the headstock, which I couldn't really see. But then it sold. But then the next day, one in excellent condition, and they showed the case, and it had the strap, you know, because it has to have a special strap because it's got the stupid loops on the end, which I'm not crazy about. But other than, I mean, it was like literally like a better one, and it was $18.50. And I was like, oh, you should just buy this. I was too chicken. I was just like, can you really spend $18.50 right now? I just got my taxes back, and I was like, you can spend that money right now because we just got our big tax refund. And I was like, let me think about it. I went back the next day, and it was gone in less than 24 hours. I knew it was a good price. I said, you should have just jumped on that when you had the chance, because they're about $3,000 new. And, you know, the great thing about Guitar Center is, you know, you buy it, you have it shipped to your house. If you don't like it within 45 days, you just return it and get 100% of your money back. Try doing that on a friggin' Reverb or anywhere else. It's all, all sales final. I've returned many guitars that I just didn't care for. You eat the shipping, but the shipping's only $23. Who's shipping you a guitar for $23? Nobody. So you get all of your money back, but $23? Yeah, I'll do that all day long. I have scored some amazing deals through them. So I usually stick with Guitar Center just because their return policy is so generous. And so after that one fell through, which one do you have, Tony? Yeah. You got the MIJ too? Yeah. I tell you, if you call up the two spec sheets, and I literally did, I had them side by side, on my screen, and you literally go every single one. It is identical. They are the identical build. Same hardware, same woods, same everything. But maybe a little bit better craftsmanship over at that MIJ factory. Just saying. A little bit. No, a little bit. So, this one was obviously used, but it was in much better shape. Didn't have the chip or the scratch like the first one said. And it was $100 cheaper, right? Instead of $19.50, it was $18.50. I should have just bought it. I don't know what I was thinking. Should have just bought it. Could have used it on my 100th Guitar of the Week. Would have been a nice guitar for the 100th episode, but it's sold and it's gone. So after that, it's consolation prize time. And I was looking at a pretty good... Did I take a shot of it? I may not have. Did I take a screenshot of it? No. Doesn't look like I did. No. It was a Fender... I guess it would have been like a Player 2 Strat. Nice dark, rosewood fretboard. It was in a limited edition Sherwood green. And the guy switched out the pickguard. Instead of the white, it was black. And I have to say, holy shit, did that thing look sharp. Looked really sharp. And $550. So, I don't have to think about that one as much as I do the 1850. So I said, okay, I'll just get this, I guess. And when I went to put it in my cart, they're like, we're sorry, we don't have the amount of inventory necessary. In other words, they already sold it, but they haven't marked it sold yet. They're like, we lack the sufficient inventory to fulfill this order. So that one was gone. And I was like, okay, let me look around. And I did see I guess it's, what do they call that? It's like the 5150 standard. I had one here, but I think I had the 5150 deluxe. Because it had that poplar burl top. This was just painted like blue. Or it's really like a kind of a gray almost, right? It's like a grayish blue. They call it like ice blue metallic. But it has a kill switch. It's got a Floyd Rose 1000. It's got a couple of Wolfgang pickups. It has the big headstock, right? The big hockey stick headstock. And it was the cheapest one on there at $550, and it actually came with a bag. They normally don't sell with a bag, but whoever bought it got it with a bag and traded it in with a bag or sold it with a bag. So, there's a lot of value going on there, right? You're getting, right, it's made in Mexico, and it had a quarter-sawn neck. All those have quarter-sawn necks, and I really like quarter-sawn necks. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, again, consolation prize after missing the MIJ one. Though I could have bought it. I couldn't bring myself to drop a couple of grand on a guitar right now. And so I was looking at it and hemming and hawing. Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? Whatever. And the next day I went on there to look at it, and it was gone. Sold. I could call up the listing, but they said sold out. We went to add it to the cart. And then within about an hour, it was like, oops, this page is missing. Try and find something else. So I was like, I don't even want a guitar. I don't even want to belong to your crappy club for jerks. So, yeah, I'm in a holding pattern. Did EVH ever use a kill switch? Yeah, he did. You know the song? Anybody? What song did he use a kill switch on? But he didn't really use a kill switch. He quietly, don't tell anybody this, used a Les Paul and put the neck pickup off. Something he stole from Ace Frehley, quite frankly. And when he did his, you know... So how is he going to do that? How is he going to get that stutter without playing a Les Paul? He wound up he put the thing, because he also doesn't have two separate volumes and tones. He can't go back and forth. I think he might have used to do it by using a single, he'd have the blade switch going, and he could do it and move the blade switch from the bridge pickup and then like off and then back again, right? Because there's no other pickups wired. And that would act like a kill switch. You had to, go back and forth with the blade switch. But starting, I want to say, in 2007 or certainly by the 2013 tour, he had that so he could go, bep, 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 right, and do the "You Really Got Me" stutter. Well, those EVHs really are his version of a Les Paul. That's why the button is up here, right? But he has, instead of 4 knobs, he uses a master volume and a master tone. Eddie is of the, he's of the generation where the Les Paul was king. Anybody that's 5 to 10 years older than me, their whole life was centered around the Les Paul. I was 14 in 1980. If you were 12, 14 years old in 1970, all you saw for the next 10 years was everybody playing a friggin' Les Paul. The Les Paul became the guitar. I think people were trying to get away from Hendrix, who had pretty much owned the Strat at that point. And, countless players throughout the 70s. Ace Frehley, Jimmy Page, Peter Frampton, they're all playing a Les Paul. And the Les Paul was the guitar to have in the 1970s. And then by the time you get to the 1980s, the Super Strat takes over. And the Les Paul goes completely out of fashion. Now, we have 140 billion guitar companies, so those days are over. But at the time when it was Coke and Pepsi, just really just Fender and Gibson out there, it was really the Strat, the Tele, the Les Paul, and to a lesser degree the SG. But yeah, he pretty much used a Les Paul on that song. And he did the toggle thing that Ace, quite frankly, Ace Frehley did. I swear he stole that from Ace Frehley. So a guy on YouTube doing it by pulling and pushing the cable in and out. Jesus. That sounds dangerous on stage. It's a great idea, but I have to stop buying guitars. No, I'm with you. I am just, it's like, do you really need another guitar? Looks around and says, yes. Yes, I do. Oh, yeah, it could have been an Ibanez Explorer. Again, the same thing, but would it have had 2 volume knobs? So he could do the stutter with the toggle switch? The rumor is he used the Les Paul. That's the rumor, anyway. I didn't really see that. The Explorer with him until, like, Women and Children First. But he might have had it. Yeah, but AC/DC doesn't really get big until around 79, 80. Right? So Highway to Hell certainly pushed them out there. And same with, but they weren't really huge before that. And of course, Back in Black. But that's later. That's much later. Richie Blackmore was playing a Strat. Sure. You know, and I hear you with Sabbath. But I don't know. It really did feel like the Les Paul was the guitar for the 70s. Yeah, who else was doing it? Tom Schultz, right? One of the biggest bands of the 70s. The first Boston album. Pretty sure he's playing Les Paul in that, and so was the lead guitar player there, whose name is escaping me, but he was playing a Les Paul too. I'm telling you, man, the Les Paul was like the guitar. Schultz had the mini humbucker gold top. Not Brad Delp, he was the singer. Who the hell was the frick? Oh, did you see that the singer for Boston passed away recently? The guy. It was a story straight out of the guy from Journey, where he did like a tribute to Brad Delp on like MySpace. Tom Schultz happened to see it and invited him to come down to to sing it like a tribute concert, and was so impressed with him at that tribute concert that he invited him to join the band because he sounded just like freaking Brad Delp. Barry Goudreau, thank you. That's who I couldn't think of. Yeah, Goudreau played a Les Paul too. I'm telling you, man, it was hot. So hot. Yeah, and Aerosmith too, who was playing a Les Paul for years. I think both Joe Perry and Brad Whitford were kind of Les Paul guys, right? And same with John Sykes. No, I'm telling you, man, it was hot. So hot. Yeah, and Neil Schon, again, if you're from that generation, that was sort of like the guitar. You know, what's his name didn't play when Angus Young, because he was a little guy. He put a Les Paul on it and it'd freaking go crashing to the ground. And he wanted to jump around and run around like he did. The SG was a far better guitar for that for him. Far better. Yeah, the guitarist from Foreigner too. Who's that? Is it Mick Jones? Very good something. Exactly. Yeah, Joe Perry. And Rick Nielsen, Rick Nielsen played a bunch of guitars. But he used, I remember reading stories about him, and he was playing like, he goes, you know, people criticize me for taking my 59 Les Paul on tour. He goes, but I like playing it. Probably regrets that a little bit. Yeah, Les Paul played them too. He was known to play. Yeah, Gary Richrath. There's another guy from the 70s. Total Les Paul player. Yeah. Gary Richrath. Who's quite kind of a underrated guitar player. I don't think he kind of gets his proper due. But he was a smoking friggin' player, man. And unfortunately, it was that smoking that killed him. Was Aldo Nova also, yeah, a Les Paul guy? Sure. Joe Walsh? Yeah, he might have been doing a Les Paul back then. Joe Walsh is all over the place. When we looked at Joe Walsh's collection, it became pretty obvious he was a Strat guy. I would say more than half of his guitars were Strats. There's so many. Steve Lukather, yeah. See, when I think of Luke, by the time I'm into Lukather, he's playing like Valley Arts guitars. Gary Moore, there's another one I couldn't think of. Gary Moore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we said Jimmy Page early on, but yeah, totally Jimmy Page. Who really went to the Les Paul. If you read a lot of his interviews, he said, he liked to play the Telly, but that it was just the single coil buzz that was killing him. That single coil hum. So he switched to the Les Paul to have humbuckers. Yeah, was Pete Townsend? I guess, you know what? I think you're right. See, I think of Pete Townsend as a Strat guy later on, but not in the 70s. I think he was playing a Les Paul, but I'm telling you, man. It was the guitar de jour. Was Billy Gibbons doing a Les Paul? Yeah, he might have. I think the guys from Molly Hatchet were too. I really associate Billy Gibbons more with the Explorer and the SG. And of course Beck switched to the Les Paul. He was I think Blow by Blow was all a Les Paul, right? Or Wired, one of them. Yeah, Don Felder too, right? Yeah. Though I really associate Felder with the double neck. And Randy. Though I think of Randy more in 1980 than the 70s. He's really the last big Les Paul player. And then it was all Super Strats. What were you, Warren D. Martinis? You Steve Vais. Your Carlos Cavazos. Nobody was playing Les Paul. Everybody switched to Super Strats. And, because they liked the Strat ergonomics, but they wanted a humbucker in it. And I tell you, Kramer was this brand was one of the biggest brands. Kramer comes out in the late 70s, but they, it really reminds me of the Malibu Stacy story. Like, when Malibu Stacy was invented, and they say the woman's name, simply had one simple goal in mind, to make a doll that children could eat. Right? It's like some stupid friggin' idea. But the kids didn't like the taste of dried onion meal. And so she just made a plastic doll, and the rest is history, right? And of course, the original Kramer had this like aluminum neck with this big tuning fork friggin' headstock that was crazy. And the other thing that was killing them was they had signed an exclusive contract that they couldn't get out of for these special frets that were very narrow and tall. And they grew to regret that contract. And when they finally, I don't know if the contract expired or basically they said, yeah, we're moving away from the aluminum neck guitars. So the contract's invalid now. Or the company was maybe sold, to Dennis Perotti or something like that in the early years, but early 80s. But when they came out in, I want to say, 82 with the Fender headstock, and Fender quickly sent them a cease and desist and said, yeah, that's our trademark material. That's the other big story this week. The EU Fender copyright, which just sounds insane. But that's when they switched to this. They literally took a scroll saw and just cut the ball end off and created the new look. They're like, well, we already bought a bunch of these. Let's just shape them. So by 83, my Kramers, I had an 83 and an 84. But they had a brand new technology that still lives on to this day, which is the Floyd Rose tremolo. And they had the exclusivity, something they learned from that horrible contract with those friggin' frets. See, when I think of Nugent, I think of, he had a big, like, semi-hollow, right? Or big hollow body. Yeah, right, Gary Rossington, yeah. Yeah, Paul Kossoff. Yeah, Dwayne Allman, another 70s guy. Yeah, the Birdland. Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Oh, did Fender go to did Floyd Rose go to Fender and they passed on it? Yeah, that was smart. Then all you had to do was license it from them after that. Many people tried to make a locking nut, and he went after him every time and said, no, we own the concept of a clamping nut. No matter what the iteration is, because Fender had come up with one that had a knob, an adjustment knob on one side and a lever on the other. They broke a lot because people would tighten it down too much, move the lever, and break the screw. I was one of them. Those were MIJ, and they were like, no, the concept of a clamp is owned by them. That was the end of that. But that, the other big news was that it came out of the EU. Now that doesn't affect the United States at all. The United States courts have already ruled on this, and in the U.S. we have a legal concept called latches, which just basically means, it's a fancy word for if you snooze, you lose. If you sit around and wait, and then you go, oh no, by the way, we own that and we want to protect it. The courts say, well, no, you should have done this when it first came out. You've waited too long. And so, yeah. No. Sorry, bro. You get nothing. And so it had already been litigated. They said, yeah, your headstock, sure. because you've always, protected that. But the body shape has become generic. And once it becomes generic, you can't trademark it. And the crazy thing is that the one in the suit in, they were claiming they want six and tuners on one side of the headstock. They own that, right? You should have seen what they were going for. And the court did rule that the body as a sculpture was copyrighted, and that they do have some copyright claims. Again, it doesn't affect the U.S. one bit, but it does affect, and all those claims are local. So, like, for example, in Japan, you can make a Les Paul body all day long. In the EU, you can make a Flying V body, because it's already been ruled by the courts in those jurisdictions that it's become generic, and you can't enforce it, right? But in the U.S., the V and all those are still protected, but the Strat body, and I think the Telly body too, has been deemed generic. That's the end of that. And the bottom line is that if it's functional in any way, you can't get a copyright or a trademark. You can only get a patent. And so some would argue that if you have a single cutaway, if you move the cutaway to the top instead of the bottom, right? Because it's not functional, right? It's like, no, it's just basically an acoustic guitar, and we cut away so people can access the top frets. It's like, okay, well, then you should have applied for a patent, and your patent will expire in a maximum time of 20 years. Usually it's about 13 years, because they don't like to keep inventions locked up. So then they try to go for, certainly with the Ibanez lawsuits of the mid-'70s, they did that under copyright law. And then Gibson went out and trademarked it all, because copyrights expire at some point. And trademarks, as long as you keep paying the renewal fee, never expire. So I know I'm going to file for the tone clamp. And then any clamp ever sold will have to pay me a tiny royalty. Not much. I take a wee percentage, but I don't get greedy. Yeah, the headstock in Japan, the open book headstock, is completely... Yeah. The ruling in Japan was, if we rule in your favor, we're going to screw over a lot of local makers. So, no. I remember when Neil Schon used that LP with the Floyd Rose. It was on some, ABC concerts. I remember watching, Journey, and him doing a big solo, and then dive bombing the Les Paul, and I was like, wow. That's crazy. But you could retrofit it if you could get one on there, but you couldn't sell it. Kramer had the exclusive right to bring a Floyd Rose, to market. Which is why, but Floyd Rose knew he had something, and he was probably a little hamstrung, by that, by that exclusive agreement. He would sell a shit ton more tremolos if he wasn't giving them an exclusive. So he started the licensed by Floyd Rose. And I'm pretty sure it started with, I think the first one was the Ibanez Edge. Ibanez says, sure, we'll do it. And I think they had Goto make the bridges. And that Ibanez Edge was loved so much, and you could use it on the guitar. I want to say Valley Arts guitars started using the Ibanez Edge. They saw it as a better version, and certainly one they could use without getting a cease and desist from Kramer. You know? So we'll see what happens, but that was a seismic ruling this week. So, again, it would put guitars like that in jeopardy. Not here, not in the U.S. We're good. But outside, yeah. Blizzard coming to Minnesota. We hit 75.6 on Tuesday, according to my my weather station. And we hit 72, 73 on Monday. And then we got real humid. Like 90% of our snow is gone. It's cold and windy out there today, though. Real freaking cold. And windy. I saw a couple of fat friggin' raccoons on my friggin' front porch mowing about. I said, oh, don't you be making a nest up on the top of my friggin' porch. I'm going to fix that this spring. So I went out there and scared them off. Was banging around. Because they don't like loud noises. It scares them. They don't like to say, you keep loud noises going, and they will, like, move on. They don't like it. So I went out there and was sort of banging around. They weren't up in the roof, though. They were up in a tree, like out in the street. I saw them crawling up a tree. So we'll see. We'll see if they show back up. Yeah, there's a Sean for sale right now. I think they want 5 G's for it. Guitars. Electric guitars. You know those guitars that are like electric guitars? Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Right there. I think it was Jackson was making those, right? Headstock certainly looks like Jackson. When those were new, they were like, I want to say $2,500. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, who the hell is dropping $2,500 on a goddamn guitar? You know, that would have been 85? You know, 86? Something like that. Shown, bro. Looks a little bent. I don't think it is. I think it's their software. I think it's cutting out a little bit there. Oh, you are. I'm pretty sure they're made by Jackson. 5 G's now. Nice. That's what 5 G's gets you. It has a few condition issues. It's a player's guitar, lovingly played. Let me read the You know, own a piece of history, super rare, shown guitar. It wouldn't be 5,000. They'd probably want 15,000. That's about right. It's about triple what they're going for on Guitar Center. Would be the reverb price. They're like, I gotta pay fees, bro. Super rare, lovingly played, player's condition. Or they'd call that like mint condition. Remember the guy said there was a scratch on the back of the headstock, and the headstock had been broken off, and there was a wood screw and a shit ton of glue, like holding the headstock on. Is that the scratch, dude? Like real bad. So he beat out inflation at $5,000. Oh, yeah, exactly. It'll buff right out. The whole thing will just buff right out. It'll buff out, bro. Anything else? This was another one that was kind of cool. It just happened to be right next to the Parker Nightfly. But I don't think this one probably has the graphite neck. I think they'd already moved to wooden bodies. I don't know if they ever did a fully graphite. Doesn't have, yeah. That's like the cheaper one. There was one that had a really weird, and I want to say it was a full-on, carbon fiber body or graphite body. The Parker. All your Reeves Gabrel riffs. Sure. I like to bend behind the nut. Well, knock yourself out, bro. EMGs. It's in player's condition. Super rare. Is that a piezo? Those look like piezos. Oh, here. How does the headstock not break? It's not made of wood. It's made out of graphite, which is probably a lot sturdier. Did you see the new Fender Telly? I think it's John Osborne. No relation to Ozzy. Who's this like fast country player. So if you look at it, it's got like a B bender in it. And the more I looked at it, it's $2,200. I said that's made in Mexico. $2,200 and it's got a B bender in it. There's no way that's made in the Corona plant. It'd be friggin' $1,000 or $2,000 more. And I was right. It's made in Mexico. It's $2,200. What, you big crybaby? $2,200 gets you the Mexi Telly. Oh, Christ. Yeah, right there. It comes pre-broken in, lovingly broken in by the greatest machinery. See that? It's got the full B bender in it. Which is, it's for the strap button. So you push down on the guitar and your strap pulls this button back, and a series of levers actuates the bending of, I think, just the B string. But as soon as I saw that, I said, oh, that's made in Mexico. $2,200 and it's got a B bender in it. Mexico all day. And I was right. The old headstock. What kind of, is that maple? Was that a mahogany neck? No, it's just a tinted. The old 70s. The old 70s style. Cutie. Come here, you. That's my chunky cat. That's Cutie, the chunky cat. Where'd it go? There it is. So what's the oil finished? Okay, that's why. Let's say oil finished. Motor oil? Look at that thing. Does kind of remind me of the EVH though, right? With that look. You know that look on the Frankie. Made, yeah. It's not made in Mexico. It's made in Ensenada. Oh, okay. That can make me feel better about it. And where is Ensenada? Oh, does it really matter? It's around. It's around. What state is that in? All of them. It's like Springfield. What state doesn't have an Ensenada? Exactly. It's not made, it's crafted. How dare you? And I want to say Gibson came out. I got an email. Gibson came out with some new acoustics. They look pricey though. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get cheap on me, bro. Gibson refreshes songwriter series with new recording artist acoustic guitars. Meet the new songwriter acoustic artist. It's like an artist, but acoustic. I'm going to move that up just a hair. And there we go. So you're not seeing the, might give you more screen space without seeing my friggin', my links, my bookmark links. I'm pretty sure, and remember, these aren't made in Ensenada, these are made in the good old USA. So, you know, it's going to need USA money. When I say they're 5Gs, take your pick. It's about $5,000. Pretty sure. Yeah, 49. It's not 5,000. It's $49.99. Don't be so dramatic. How dare you? there, Rosewood Burst. Or the Antique Natural. What the hell's that shit down the middle of it, though? A little weird. Right? Oh, it's thermally aged. A thermally aged Sitka spruce top? It's not hitting me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Not crazy about that. Like a skid mark. Yeah. Huh. I'm sure someone loves it. But, that's yeah. That's someone's favorite guitar. Just not mine. 5Gs, too. How about this one? Yeah, you still get the sort of the skid mark. The thermally aged. Yeah. Yeah. Innovation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think we're just completely out of ideas. Yeah, new ideas needed. You know, maybe that Fender suit will be good because we'll get rid of, like, you know, a whole bunch of guitar companies. You know, I didn't notice it. Well, I guess it is there. I didn't notice it when we were over at when we were here. But no, there it is. Now I can't help it. Now I can't unsee it. What the hell is that? See, like here you don't notice it, but you definitely notice it more here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's someone's favorite guitar. Someone looked at that and said, "Oh my God, that is amazing." There was another bit of news. I got an email. I think Victory Amps, you know those guys? They came out with like a little. It looks like a pedal, but apparently it's like a little amp, and it's called, I think, the Power Valve 200. And I'm assuming it's 200 watts, and you know, who knows? But it has a little tube in it, not a power tube, but it's to like warm it up a little bit, and it's made for modelers. So they're like, you know, if you don't want to lug an amp around, but you want amp-like tone, they can drive a regular cab, not a full range, flat response, speaker cab. Then try out our new Victory Power Valve 200. I don't know. Most people just plug in direct to the front of the house. You'd still have to mic up an amp, right? It feels like that's the whole point of it. Unless you're going to go to front of the house and you're going to use that as your stage monitor. But why not just use your in-ears? I mean, nobody uses wedge monitors pretty much anymore, only the old school guys. Pretty much everyone's moved to in-ears. I don't know. Again, it does, feels like we're running out of ideas. No, a little bit. A little bit. Is it really $1,000? A Power Valve 200 is $1,049. Yeah. I mean, the whole point of having those modelers that have XLR outs is that you just literally go directly into the mixing board and they just dial you into the mix. I think, as more and more guitar players are using them, the people that run the soundboards really prefer them. It's a lot easier than trying to mic up an amp. Yeah, the wedge monitors will still have a place for posing, but they're dead. They're just there to put your foot up, like you say, just to look good. But it's actually an empty shell with no speakers in it. Probably would be nice if you just put a little fan in there. So we'll see how that whole Fender thing, works out. But could be a little tricky, a little bit. We'll see. What did you do with the space where the fish tank was at? We actually had a bench. It's like this long, I don't think it's leather. I think it's it could be. I think maybe they were leather. It's just like a long bench that lifts up. It's like a seating bench that we would use when you walked in. So you could sit in front of it and look at the fish tank. And the cats had really torn it up, and we had like a slip cover over it. But we just moved it against the wall. It fits in there quite nicely. So I've been doing that. I've got actually my dining room table in my living room because I finally, here we are, Jesus, like 5 years later, maybe even 6. I'm finally fixing the ceiling in the dining room. So I had scraped it a while ago. Before the NAMM show, I had scraped it. And then I still have a bunch of friggin' mud left over from a prior job, a big giant tub of mud. The spackle there. So the ceiling was so bad, it needed so much work. You take it a little bit here, a little bit there, do a little bit more, but I've got it pretty good. And I have a special drywall sander that is a freaking godsend. Like the best thing I ever bought. It's got like a skirt around it, like a brush skirt, like around where the sanding pad is, so that the dust doesn't leave, right? It stays in there, right? It's basically like a little broom. And inside the the disc is a whole bunch of holes and there's a vacuum. And it's got like a 5-micron bag. And I was using it and I said, I don't think I'm going to break this out. I'm going to use this other sander. And I realized how much dust was coming off of it. I said, oh no, Jesus, I didn't realize how much it was taking the dust in and just putting in that little dust bag. So I went right back to using that. And the problem is that, we had all that snow. I couldn't get in the friggin' garage. Now that the snow's gone and I can get out in the garage, when we had that nice day on Tuesday, I had emptied a whole bunch of stuff out of the garage, broke down a whole bunch of boxes. The garage basically became a place to throw boxes over the winter. But I got those all broken down and finally got in there and I got it out. And I emptied the bag. It had a little bit of dust from the last job I did. I emptied the bag out and cleaned the whole thing out and got it ready. And I got to do that like this week when I get a chance. Yeah, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, yeah. Steve Harris turned 70 this past week. I turned 60. The next thing you know, you're there. So did Phil X. Phil X is 2 days younger than me. Almost trailer time. Yeah, the other thing I have to do, speakers, I got to get that wood. Remember we were going to go get that wood, but I friggin' hurt my back. And then we had all the snow. There was no getting the wood into the basement. But that's all gone now. So it's definitely time I got to go do that. I definitely got to go get that wood because I'm not using the back room efficiently enough. I definitely need to build a little rack for the guitars and they're all in cases. And I have them up on these like little shelving pedestals, but there's a big gap between the top of the cases and the ceiling. And I think that there's room to like fill all that in and make a more efficient use of the space. So I just got to build. I'll get 4 like 10-footers and a half a dozen 8-footers. And I should be able to put together and then use, quite frankly, a lot of the leftover wood from the trailer build. It's still out in the garage. We were cutting down those sides, the full 8-foot length. And I still have it. That's 3/4-inch plywood. So nice and sturdy. Whatever I do, I'll just build it to the width of those leftover pieces. Why go out and buy, more? Yeah, we talked about Phil Campbell earlier in the show. No, we didn't talk about that, but I saw that Sebastian Bach is going to take over for Dee Snider. I guess Dee Snider's having trouble singing, which he always had a really good voice. He for years he was doing it, but maybe he was away from it too long, or you just get older, and it's just like athletes, right? You sort of lose your ability. I did see some recent footage of, I think it was Kiss, might have been November or December. And Paul, has lost his voice, but Gene still sounded really good. Still going. That dude, got to admit, he's still going. And I saw some footage of Bonnie Raitt, she's up there too. And man, she sounded friggin' amazing. I was like, man, Really good. What are you doing? What are you doing, you big old belly? Chunky butt. Chunky butt. Chunky butt. And there's one big butt right there. Yeah, you. What? The fender thing is only in Germany, not the whole EU? All right. Well, that still affects Tolman. I thought it was an EU court. Kind of the way federal courts handle things that cross over borders, like state borders, would be kind of the same with the EU, and that it would cover things like copyright, trademark, and patent, you know. Oh, yeah? See, I wasn't doing that. Work the mud before you go on. It'll go on like glass. Just give it a good... Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I still have a little bit left to do, so I'll try that. You know what I did have to go out and do is I couldn't find the hawk. You know, I had a plaster hawk, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a little metal table with a handle on the bottom. So you can... What? She's like, who are you talking to? And basically, it makes your life so much easier to just pull it off with the, with the knife, and put it on if you have just very easily on a little, they call it a hawk, a plaster hawk, but basically it's a little mini table. And I knew I had one, but man, I couldn't find it. And I said, well, how much is a new one at like Home Depot? And it was $15. I said, I'm just going to go buy one. Yeah, you hearing this? You hearing this crybaby? Look at her. Look at her back there. Look at her. Laying down. Yeah, you big gooba. She's like, oh. Give me the belly rub and the belly and the butt and the belly and the butt. So we're there. I'm probably at least 80% done. There was a lot of damage up there. A lot that needed to get done. And what it really is that the plaster is fine. The paint peeled away, and you can only scrape it so much. And so what you have to do is either, if it's a very large portion, sort of just fill it in if it's a small, if it's a gap that's only like this big, you can just fill that. No problem at all. If it's something big like a crack, you've got to throw some up there. You got to throw up a little bit of mesh, and then sort of fill that in, which I did. But if it's a real big one, I got holes up there that that are friggin' enormous. Where a lot of because we had a water leak. Those it's so big, there's really no doing it. You'd need a friggin' a scraper like 3 feet wide, and it's hard to work over your head. It's much easier on the wall. So those I just feather out the edge, right? You just get the edge. So you might see it, you might not. Yeah, if I was going to have it done, the people who have looked at it basically said, we're probably just going to put up new board. It would be easier just to put up all new sheetrock over what's already there. And I was like, well, let me see what I can do. It's gonna look good, though. I said, as soon as I buy this friggin' Hawk when I get home, I'm going to find it. I haven't yet, though. But I said, you watch. The second I go out and spend money on this stupid thing, open it up and use it, I'm going to get downstairs and go, oh, there it is right there. But so far, no. So I'm glad I just went out and bought it, because it makes your life a lot easier. A lot friggin' easier. They used to text you back in the day. Yeah, they the swirl and the popcorn ones are so out of fashion, though. They don't do the texture anymore. They don't do the popcorn or the swirl. Now it's all, clean as glass. They want it, which is pricier. Right? It's more work. Still have a giant piece of bathroom ceiling missing for almost 20 years now. Yeah, no, mine was just 5 years in the wait. And finally I was like, oh, geez, I got to do this. And of course, the second I started to do it, I was like, oh, boy, this is coming out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. By the time it's done, it can't be any worse than it looked. It was looking really bad. It was so friggin' bad. Yeah, texture, it's kind of dated. It was a thing for a while, because another thing it was to do was to cut down on reflections a little bit, right? So your room wouldn't be so echoey, right? Which is what you'd get with a flat one. What are you crying about? Look at her. Look at you, you big gooba. Yeah, you. You get used to it, yeah. When we moved in 2002, we bought the house in 01. We had a bunch of work done, and we moved in 02. February of 02. We bought the house the last day of November in 01. We had work done in December and January, and then we moved in the week of the Super Bowl in 02. And the stairs going to the attic were really bad. And I tore them all out, and I put in a whole new staircase. And it came out great, but when I took out the top, it left a little bit of where they had painted. It was not painted. And my wife was like, oh, geez, that looks kind of crappy. You're gonna paint that? I said, yeah, no, I'll paint it. Here it is, a mere 24 years later. Look, it's on my to-do list. Cutie is definitely not pregnant, but you know what she does have is they get sort of a saggy tummy because they have their uterus taken out, right? It's when you get spayed. I'm hearing noises up there. Yeah, that's still the night cover. God, that's at least 10 years old, right? Probably closer to 15. Yeah, the pouch, right? So definitely check out Monday's video. It's a biggins. I'm hearing purrs. You hearing this purr? Hearing this? Speaking of the mic here. Where are you? Hey. Yeah. Not really. What are you doing? What are you doing, you gooba? Big crybaby. Did you find the tennis ball? Yeah. What's that? Buzzy used to love the friggin' tennis balls. He used to get them in, It's the cat who thinks she's a dog. Buzzy used to get him. God, that cat. He used to get him and just get him in his little feet. Love the tennis ball. I think I did one Gretsch. 2 Gretches. I think I did a Jet. I'm trying to think if I did anything other than... I definitely remember a Gretsch Jet. I don't know. I might have done one more. I forget now. Great show tonight. So you soon let me know about the HD materials. Yeah. Yeah, I will. Where'd it go? Did you lose it? Oh, there it is. I was like, did you lose it already? Oh, yeah. God, it's 9 p.m. already. Tonight flew by. All right, guys. I'm going to run because I'm sure my daughter's upstairs, and I want to say hello. She's back from 2 weeks in Ireland. I was like, what the hell was that noise? But it's my headphone cable hitting this. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll do it all again in a week. Have a great week. I'll see you all next week. And you know what? I might even have a special video coming up just for my members. So if you're a member of the memberships, keep your eyes peeled for a special members-only video. I think it's going to come out within the next week or so. I'm trying to see if I can do it this week, but if not, then definitely the week after that. And there you go. No. You rock. All right. Are we still in tune? I think so. And you guys have a wonderful week. Check out Monday's video. I'll see you guys all in the week. Have a great week. And there you go. We've said it all. I've said it all. All right. Have a good one. Later.